Adam, there is some breaking news in Houston. That's where we begin.
Laura, the Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans said that C.J. Stroud will be out Sunday due to the concussion that he suffered last week against the Denver Broncos on a vicious blow where his head hit the ground. Davis Mills will step in and start against the Jacksonville Jaguars in an AFC South battle on Sunday. It'll be up to Mills to try to keep the Texans' playoff hopes alive as C.J. Stroud takes more time off. Meanwhile, in Arizona, the Cardinals have placed their quarterback, Kyler Murray, on injured reserve due to the foot injury that he's dealing with. This has been a back-and-forth issue, and some people could see this coming. The Cardinals say Murray will have the chance to focus on rehabbing his foot injury, getting back as soon as possible, but it will not be any time before the next 4 games. And that means that Jacoby Brissett will continue to lead this offense going forward. He will be the starter. He will get an extended look, and that has huge ramifications on what this team might do in the future at the quarterback position.
Yeah, it's a good point. When I spoke to Kyler Murray on the field on Monday, he said his foot really was still bothering him. So, Adam, to your point there, IR gives him the time to heal. Let's get back to some of the news of yesterday. New on NFL Live, Colts head coach Shane Steichan on his newest addition, Sauce Gardner, who the team traded for yesterday.
My impression is, like you said, he's an unbelievable player. To get a bona fide #1 corner in this league, like I said, it elevates everybody around us. And when you make moves like that, it's huge, right? It boosts the confidence of everybody, and our football team's in a good spot. And again, my message to the guys is the same every day. We got to get better every day and focus on today and not worry about the future. But we got to get ready to go play Atlanta this week, and that's the message.
The Colts have been much improved defensively under coordinator Lou Anarumo, jumping from 24th in points allowed last season to 7th this season. While the team ranks 26th against the pass this season, that's partly due to volume, but also personnel. Sauce, a clear upgrade there, right? And we know these Colts are going all in. As we welcome you into the show, glad you're with us on this Wednesday. Dan Orlovsky, Andrew Hawkins, Field Yates, as always. Adam will be with us throughout the show. We also have a really exciting thing on wristbands and play calling coming your way later. But, Dan, do you expect Sauce to make an impact for the Colts defense this week against the Vikings? That's his first chance.
I don't see this week being the impactful one. Here's the one. This is one of the most schematically diverse defenses in the NFL. If you watch some of the coverages, some of the coverages that they get into, it's pretty diverse. Okay, so that's going to take a lot of studying. I think the second thing is when you watch the secondary, communication's paramount. You know, the way that they pass coverages off, the way that they have to rotate, the way that they get in and out of things. So I think the biggest question is going to be, Sauce has spent the majority of his career, and certainly this season, at the line of scrimmage, just putting hands on people. That's not necessarily the style of football, especially on early downs, Indy plays. Does Indy lean into the strengths of Sauce? Does Indy try to get him off the ball a little bit more and play with vision? How they play him just as an individual cover guy is going to be really interesting early on. I think by the time that we get to December, we'll see really the impact he'll have on this defense.
I think he's going to follow. I think he's going to follow Drake. I think that's why you give up the compensation that you gave up for him, because it gives you that ability to have a corner you can match.
You think he's going to shadow Drake London?
I think he is, and I think they would be smart to because of the way they're trying to utilize Drake London in their pass game, specifically in the red zone. So if you check this tape out, he had 3 touchdowns last week, all in the red zone. You'll see it here in the slot. He's going to motion inside. You're hoping that corner plays over top. They don't. They switch it off. So now you have press on a flat route. It shouldn't work, but it doesn't matter because of who Drake London is and his catch radius. Touchdown. The very next play, you're going to have, now they're going to be in a bunch, which is going to make him number 3. He's going to have a wide fade that you're hoping that these act as pick routes on the 2 outside receivers and like a surge style play. Again, covered pretty well. With his catch radius, it doesn't matter. All he needs is a little bit of space, and he can go up and catch this football. Now, trips, they're going to motion down to a bunch. He out-leverages the corner because he's playing heavy inside, plays it pretty well. It doesn't matter. Drake London and how they use him in the pass game is similar to how they want Bijan Robinson in the run game. So for Sauce, if I'm them, I'm saying, hey, it is your job to mitigate what they do with Drake London because clearly that's who their pass game runs
Before Field jumps in, 1, the size. So the length of Sauce certainly impacts that. The flip side is, if you're doing that, Drake lives where? Slot.
Yep.
Information for us as an offense. You're not bringing Sauce in there to play zone coverage. So that's the cat and mouse game, because once you do that, I know what kind of coverage you're in.
Yeah, a reminder, this game 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, so things get started off with a really interesting one. Let's go bigger picture in Indy. Field, what does this move tell you about maybe some of their offseason priorities and just where they're going in general?
Yeah, they're confident the 7-2 start is legitimate. They're also confident that Daniel Jones is the quarterback that can take them to the Super Bowl and compete legitimately with the likes of the Chiefs and the Bills and the Ravens when it gets to January and maybe into February. I don't think anybody believes that Daniel Jones would not want to be a Colt beyond this offseason. But if he had any level of doubts and wanted to at least survey the market, he's got plenty of leverage now because the Colts have two very valuable resources that are no longer theirs. They belong to the Jets in the form of those 2 first-round picks. They are committed to this core, and that includes Daniel Jones, who I'm sure he would love to be in Indianapolis for a long time. But if they were ever planning on getting a discount, Daniel has the leverage to say basically, here's the price to keep me, or else I could go somewhere else.
I wonder if they go to him now.
Richardson, too,
They should.
by the way.
Right now, and this could be, we have seen this marriage work, by the way.
Don't get even more out of hand.
Right?
Like,
I mean, it's a dice roll.
You showed your hand already, though.
Right. I
Then
wonder if
what
they
if
try to
they-
lock that up sooner rather than later.
Coming out of Arizona today, Adam, what's going on there?
The Cardinals now have placed Kyler Murray on injured reserve, Laura. They've turned over their starting job to Jacoby Brissett for at least the next 4 games while Murray tries to get his foot sprain ready and tries to get healthy for later in the season. But people around the league all are in agreement that the Cardinals' offense has operated more efficiently, more productively with Jacoby Brissett. And so Jacoby Brissett will be their short-term starter, and really it serves as something of an audition for this team to see where they are at the quarterback position. Undoubtedly, there will be discussions after this year about what is best for this team and its future at the quarterback position. It'll be in both ways. Kyler Murray will have a say. The Cardinals will have a say. If they decide to move on from him, it's over $38 million in guaranteed money. Keep in mind, the Cardinals general manager, Monty Ossenfort, the Cardinals head coach, Jonathan Gannon, they were not the staff that chose Kyler Murray. He came from the previous regime. So there are all sorts of questions that have to be answered in Arizona, and Jacoby Brissett will get a chance to answer some of those in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, really interesting to keep an eye on. New on NFL Live, this just coming down. Cardinals receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. had a great game, obviously, on Monday night. Spoke before the Kyler Murray injury news was announced, but it was clear he's a big fan of Jacoby Brissett.
I mean, he's obviously, a tremendous leader for us. I think his communication and understanding of the offensive system, has done, a tremendous job for just everybody. And like I said, it really takes all 11 guys to kind of do the job. And obviously, he's done his part, but receivers making plays, and O-line making plays, and the running backs all doing the job. Definitely goes into success.
I mean, you saw just some of the film right there from what Marvin Harrison Jr. looked like. Dan, that's been a huge priority, trying to get him more involved. Jacoby Brissett seems to make that a little easier for them. They have Seattle this week.
Yeah, I think the telling thing was the first word or so out of Marvin's mouth was the communication. The leadership, the ownership that has come from Jacoby Brissett. I think Schefter painted it pretty clearly. Like, this is a really pivotal 4 to 8 week stretch for the Cardinals the remainder of this season. Because if they continue to play good football and get into that playoff race, it is absolutely going to make a line drawn in the sand of, are we with Kyler or are we moving on from Kyler?
About 2 minutes ago, we were talking about prospects and ranking them, and sometimes we get so enamored by the traits. At the quarterback position specifically, sometimes the traits go out the window because it's how do you operate within the offense. And while Kyler Murray is a more talented player than Jacoby Brissett, probably has a higher upside as a quarterback. We've seen it previously. What Jacoby is doing right now seems to be exactly in line with what the offensive staff wants to do on offense.
Yeah.